Okay, fantastic. So welcome everyone to Thriving in a New Work Environment. Your questions that you've sent in are, why have we removed Idris? Not sure. Hopefully you'll be able to join back. Okay, anyways, welcome to Thriving in a New Work Environment. The questions you sent through are so helpful to give direction to this call, and I believe that everyone will get some sort of value out of it, out of this, and will be able to add as much value as we need to add to you guys. Okay, so let's kickstart. I've got Tosin here, I've got Richard here, and I've got Idris. I don't know, but Idris dropped off, so I don't know when Idris will be back, but let's just start anyways. Tosin will be here for just an hour, so I may have to send Tosin's question quite a bit. I may have to take Tosin's questions more during the course of the first hour than the others. Okay, I also wanted to say everything that we'll be saying on this call. I can see it just now, so fantastic, welcome. I wanted to say everything we'll be saying on this call are basically our own personal opinion only. Okay, is just our own personal opinions. So that's just some sort of disclaimer to help everybody to put everything we'll be saying into perspective. Okay, so let's go. Normally, we would have just done, Idris, tell us your experience, joining in a new firm, probably moving to the UK, all of those things. How did you thrive and all of that? But your questions are so many. And we were like, no, let's do that. I don't know why this light has gone off. Anyways, we said, let's do that. Let's just go the route of going through the questions and just answering everyone's questions, okay? So I think the first question I will go through now is one for Idris. How do you get recognized at work? What are the things you need to do to get recognized at work?
Yeah, I think it's 2 years already, and I should get used to speaking without being on mute. Well, still happening, but can you hear me clearly now? I think it's
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I will just start off with getting recognized at work. It's I always tell people it's you don't just get into a new environment or you work somewhere without doing I call it the work that matters, right? Or doing the things that matters. So if you are in a setting and the department or the unit or the business that you're working with, you guys probably have like a goal maybe for that quarter or for that year, or you guys are trying to explore like a new opportunity, and there are like specific areas in which the business is trying to go, or the company is trying to go, and you have an idea of these type of areas. I think one of the easiest way to get recognized is to tap into that sort of opportunity, right? It could be, there's a new product being developed, there's a sort of like new like topic being discussed, or like going to clients on a new topic, or you guys are trying to go to market on something new. So getting to understand the dynamics of that workplace, what's the key priorities of where you're at the moment, and keying into those type of initiative would make it quite easy for you to to do things that would get you quite recognized quite easily. I'll just keep it short because we have a lot of questions here.
A lot of them, and thank you very, very much. Obviously, there will be a lot of points we'll touch during the course of this call that will further explain some of the questions that you've asked. So now I'll go to Richard. What technical areas can one improve on while starting one's career?
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Just a minute. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. So, technical area that one needs to have, especially when you're starting your career, this depends on the line of career you are in, right? So, if you are in accounting, for example, I would expect you to have basic knowledge of accounting, and let's say technical skills that you might need to have might include Excel, Microsoft Word, some accounting packages, and the likes, right? So, depending on the field you find yourself in, there are some preliminary skills that you need to have acquired, right? So those are the things that can help you thrive faster in your work environment. So maybe as time goes by, I don't have a lot of questions. We can delve more into those technical questions too.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think one other thing you can do, depending on, because I mean, it's a very generic question. One other thing is to ask the people that are already there what they do to develop themselves technically, or what they would, especially more experienced people, what they do, what they know. All of those things can basically get you up to speed as to what you need to concentrate on. Okay, I'll move quickly to Tosin. How do I come across as assertive and not commanding in a new office?
Hi everybody. Thanks for having me, Ore. Um, so that's a very interesting question because assertiveness, especially, well, I'll speak from two ends. So if you're in Nigeria, there's a cultural piece to it, and if you're abroad and you're a black person, there's also
Yeah.
a connotation to your assertiveness. So personally, I feel know your onions, know what you're talking about when you're talking about it, right? And be receptive to feedback. So if you're just joining a place, right, it's obvious that you're new in the environment. Even though you know, maybe, let's say you're just leaving school, you know some theoretical knowledge. Obviously, I mean, let it be known that you know some of those knowledge, but listen to feedback because people ahead of you probably have practical knowledge, right? So if say for example you're having a conversation and something comes up and you do know a little bit about it, you can say, oh, I do know ABC about this. It's obvious you're coming from a place of some knowledge that you have, so you're not blank. So you've asserted, you've given some assertiveness in there. But then ask a question, so make it a conversation between you and whoever it is you're talking to. Oh yeah, I know ABC, but you know, this, I'm just learning this field, or I haven't had practical knowledge. From your experience, what do you think about this idea that I have? So you've told them, I have this knowledge, but I'm open to feedback, rather than just saying I have this knowledge and I think I'm right. Right? So just to keep it short, I think that's how I'd go about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that makes a lot of sense. Someone has told me before that I'm bossy. Oh, no, we Nigerians, yeah. You know,
We
when
a
we
lot.
talk with passion, eh? And when you get to some environments, they're like, why is she so loud? Right? What, like, when you're talking, you're just trying to make your point. So like, as in, they just feel a bit weird. Like, we are not fighting, we're not quarreling. Okay. So, and I've gotten feedback where people have said to me that I'm too direct. Ah, different
I've
things.
gotten
Yeah.
that I've gotten that feedback all the time, but I make it work for me. I'm direct, but I'm smiling, right? I well, where I am, a smile makes a difference. I'm not frowning, I'm
Mhm.
smiling, but I'm saying what I need to I need to say. I've gotten a lot of feedback like that as well, and that's why I said um I'm going to split it into two. In Nigeria, for example, if you're being assertive, there's a
Mhm.
cultural connotation in there. So
Yeah.
there's the ageism where if it's someone older than you and you're being assertive, like you're being rude, right? So in Nigeria, it's easier to a little bit balance that, right?
Mhm.
Because you know the cultural, what is expected of you,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But abroad, when you are black, even if you're
Mm,
just saying, even if you're singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, someone is saying, wow, you're singing that too.
I
So
know, right?
aggressive, so aggressively. So you need to just, you need to find your balance. And I feel like some of these things, and I know we're not going to the other questions already, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
some of the questions, it comes over time. It's
Yes.
not something that's going to happen immediately.
Yeah.
People learn your communication style, and they know, like I've been somewhere and after I was like, oh, that's how toasting. In fact, someone say, could you talk to this difficult community? Because I wouldn't cushion it. I would smile, but I would still say what I need to say, right? So some of the skills you learn diplomacy, right? In how to say what you need to say without hurting the other person, right? Or without coming across as being rude, right? But yeah, I think that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and communication is really key when you're just starting your career because it just sets the tone for everything going forward. And sometimes when people have that impression of you, that's it. They don't want to change. Anyways, let's go to another question. Idris, how do you approach senior colleagues for help?
Yeah, so I guess back to Tosin's point as well. I think back home, you probably think twice before asking a senior person
Yeah.
for help. But I think having spent quite a bit of time as well in the UK, you probably know that you need to ask for help when needed. And I think for you to be able to get to that level where you would be able to sort of approach like a senior colleague for help, you probably need to have developed some bit of interpersonal relationship with that person. For example, for example, I work in a team where the kind of work that I do within treasury and edge canting space is a sort of like a niche type of work, and probably if my partner or my other colleagues, if there's nobody to do that work, it'll be quite difficult to get someone quickly, maybe from another team to help with that kind of work. So in that instance, it means that, if I'm swamped and I need help, if maybe like the younger guys working with are not available, or they can't pick up that level of technical effort required to do that work, I need to look up to someone, maybe quite more senior. And in that instance, I'm not always afraid to, the instances where on the call, I just say, I can speak to my partner and say, you know what, please, Tom, can you just do this bit? So I'm like busy with this or that thing. So I think over time, I mean, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, I'll probably sort of like think twice and, kill myself and try to do the work because I can't ask him to do that. But what I've learned is you build that level of confidence and relationship with whoever senior people that you're working with, such that they understand that for you to actually ask for help, it means that you absolutely need it, and you're not like being pushy, or you're not the type that sort of like try to avoid work like almost every time. So it wouldn't be something that's quite so frequent, one, and then you need to have established that bit of relationship such that they trust that in that moment it's the right judgment for you is to ask for help. And then lastly is you know, I mean, one of the things you can also explore is that there are instances where you need to sort of critically assess what needs to be done. Is it something which needs to go high up, or it's something that can go a bit down, right? So you probably assess when I have like things to do on my to-do list, I just assess some of these things. Can I put some of these things down? What and which of these ones I can put upward? Let's say to a senior manager, for example, within my team, and then so I sort of we prioritize things that needs to be done, and then you sort of push it out accordingly. So it might mean that you might push some things downwards to make you have capacity to take on some things where you don't have to push things upward. So yeah, it's around deprioritizing some items and reprioritizing what you need to do. Build that sort of relationship with whoever is it in terms of the senior person that you work with, and then build that sort of relationship and rapport such that they can trust your judgment that you need that help at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, Idris. Richard, I'm going to come to you. So this person is saying, let me just summarize. So let's say, for instance, someone works in VI and they live at Ikorodu, right? That essentially means they need to get off work exactly at 5 or 5:30, depending on the closing time. Okay. Now they say getting off work early to go home so they can be out early the next day to come back. How to prevent that from affecting their productivity and efficiency? Do you want to speak to that?
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. So that question looks very familiar to me because I've actually had a similar experience. And there was a time I was working at VI and I was staying at E4. So those of you that know, man, that life was a very bad life, right? So I wake up by 4 a.m. I end up getting to work like around 10, sometimes past 10.
Jesus.
After, and at the end of the day, you won't be smelling, your clothes will be messed up because you're in a public transit. I can see everybody's laughing on the call, right? So yeah. Now, when I did that within 3 months, I was worn out. Like, I was completely worn out. I could not even deliver on the job because I wound up sleeping at work, right? But then, what I did was that I tried to look for a friend that stays not even very close to the VI, but stays around this Shomolu area, right? So, and before I know it, it got better. So, what I would just advise anybody that is having a very long distance trip to the work every day, I think it's better you get a place closer, maybe not for people on the island, for example, it might be too expensive. So maybe you might get somewhere that's just not too far, right? But which you can easily access the office. So the other part, I think the person also asked a question on that question is in two parts. So how to prevent that from affecting productivity and efficiency? Of course, the truth is that when you are worn out, there is a little you can devote, because sometimes the stress in transmuting yourself alone can even be more than the stress on the job itself.
Yeah.
So it's always better to just have somewhere that is very close. Proximity to work is very important. And I think employers are looking at that these days to even determine if they are going to give you a job. So make sure that you get somewhere that is very close to your workplace. And I think that solves problems. You don't start thinking about productivity and efficiency.
Richie from E4. Thank you very much for sharing that insight. You know, I didn't know before I allocated that question to you. But I'm very happy that I did. Okay, so I'm sure that makes a lot of sense. So Tosin, the next two questions, I'm going to direct those to you. Now, first, how do I face people at work who try to intimidate and really make me feel like I am nothing, given that I'm a fresher?
Oh wow. Sorry, before I take that question, I just wanted to tag something onto Richard's question. So it may not be practical to tell everybody to move closer to work just because people's circumstances is, different. One thing I could add to that is have a journal. Prioritize what you think you need to do at work. So have the must do, can do, like to do. Your must do, have it written down, right? So even if you're spending 4 hours at work, like Richard was saying, you're getting to work by 10 a.m. when everybody has been there by 8 or 7, right? Make sure you're completing that must do, right? So people are able to see, oh yeah, she lives at E4 or 4, sorry, I don't know the place, or 4. When I was in Lagos, I used to live at Ogudu, so I hated Lagos. Let me just put that out there, but but it was a distance from VI. So people know that even though he stays far away, like your higher ups, what they'll remember is who made my life easier.
Mm-hmm.
Your higher ups will say, even though he stays so far away, my critical items were delivered to me. It may stress you out, I'm sorry, but those must do. Try your very best. Try your very best to make sure you achieve them. I just wanted to add that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, and I've lost track of the question already.
Okay, so how do I face people at work who try to intimidate me because I'm a fresher?
I think the first thing you need to understand is it's a them problem, because if someone is trying to intimidate you, it obviously speaks to some esteem issue.
Yep.
If they feel threatened by you, that's a compliment, I always say. So that's the first thing. So don't take it on to yourself. Like, don't take it personal. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Don't feel like, oh, I'm doing something, or don't do that. Just see it for what it is. It's a them problem. They're intimidated by you. The second thing I would like to say, and it goes back to the first thing I said in my first question, you need to know your onions. You need to invest time in yourself. If you don't know a tax, make sure you learn it. Make sure I'm sure not every single person in that office will be trying to intimidate you, right? So if one person is trying to intimidate you and you understand that, do not be rude to the person. Make sure you're not that's why I said, make sure you don't take it personal. Don't get your emotions involved. If you don't know this person from Adams, you guys are just work colleagues, right? Even if they're higher than you, right?
Yeah.
If there's another boss, make it apparent, for example, in team meetings, that you know what you're saying, so that even if that person is making you feel foolish, if there are, for example, 3 people in a group, and the second person can see that even though you don't know everything, you know some things, and you are willing and you are able to articulate what you know, right? Even if that other person is behaving weirdly towards you, it's obvious that it's not you. You're not doing anything to cause that, right? You're just doing what you are employed for, right? Understand your job description, right? So it is clear that you are meeting your job description in the first place. I think at the end of the day, quality quality speaks. So if you know what you're about, if you know who you are, if you know, that's something I tell my daughter, you need to know who you are, right? So that other people don't project their insecurities towards you. I think that's why I keep emphasizing you need to, because I understand that sometimes it gets in our head and then it starts affecting the real things you should be doing at work. So you need to make sure there's that demarcation in your mind that it's not a me problem, it's their problem. If it's a you problem, be honest with yourself, it's a you problem, but it's their problem. And go about your business, go about your work. Make sure you, and if you don't know, please find help, invest in yourself. These days, the internet is there, YouTube. Try to learn about what it is that the person is trying to intimidate you about. If it's a topic, build your skill in that topic, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tosin. Okay, so the next one is, what should you do what should one do when they feel like that? Okay, so when this person feels like their current role is not preparing them for their long-term goals.
For your long-term goals, there's a saying I heard when I joined, with Ore, when we're associates, your career is in your hands.
Yeah.
So if you feel that where you are at the moment is not aligning with your long-term goals, you need to be clear with yourself. I go back to writing because I like to write. Write down what are those goals and what do you need to achieve those goals. You need to understand that in the first place, right? Because if you know where you're going and what you need to get to that goal, it helps clarify a few things, right? I do understand that the first thing is, well, you need to feed, you need to be able to take care of yourself. That could be a goal. At the moment, your goal could be having a job to take care of your daily needs. And there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I feel like we get so bogged down by the race, we don't end up appreciating where we are, right? And what we have can help with our current needs. It's fine to be, okay, I am in this job because I need money to take care of myself. And then while you're in that job, that the only thing you're getting in there is money, you need to understand, okay, where are my future goals? Maybe your future goal is, I want to be a CPA, for example. What I'm doing at the moment, maybe I'm not even doing accounting related something. Maybe I'm doing finance, or I'm doing like not necessarily directly accounting. Like I said, your career is in your hands. Maybe at that goal, you're getting the money to invest in yourself to study for your CPA. So you are still going towards that direction. It's just, it's not directly coming from the job that you have. So you need to be able to articulate to yourself, what are my goals? What are my current goals? What are my future goals? What is helping me to meet my current goals? And what will help me meet my future goals? And what do I need to meet each one, right? And that's okay.
Thank you very much, Tosin, for that. I think that's really very, very helpful. Idris, what to do when you feel like you aren't getting all the needed knowledge to function effectively? What do you do?
Yeah, I think you would, I mean, from experience, people would hardly spoon feed you when you're working somewhere. You probably need to go out of your own way to get the required knowledge that you need. If perhaps your current employer or where you are currently, it's not providing you that opportunity. In some instances, it might require that you change job. Some people are probably sort of ask me a lot of questions on why I sort of moved job. So each time that I've moved job across, there's like always like a specific reason. I think there's a question on that as well, which I might come to as well. But at some point, one of my reasons for moving at one point was there was like a specific sort of skill or knowledge which I think I needed at that point in time. And where I was at that point in time, I do not see myself getting that opportunity. And then, yeah, I had like an opportunity that was presented to me that I know definitely I was going to get that experience and that knowledge at that point, which was like quite a timely one for me. So I needed to make that change at that point in time. So I think one, you need to be sort of, one is identify what are like those key learnings, or what are those knowledge which you think would be effective for you to function effectively, and then sort of identify which of these ones can, do you think might be your current employer might be able to provide to you. It might require that you have like an honest conversation with them as to, I need this knowledge, to perform my role. So if they can't provide it, some employer can say, okay, fine, we will send you on this training. You, in all instances, employers would not come to you. Some would come to you and ask you, what do you need to function in this role? Some might not. So in that instance, you need to identify what are the absolutely critical knowledge or skill that you need to learn, which would be relevant to the job. So an employer would not want to, sponsor a skill which they know it's not relevant to the job that you're doing at the moment. So you might need to sort of identify, these are the skills which I need, would make me perform in this current role. You as my employer, I need this skill. Can you provide this for me? And then they said, okay, yes, we can. And then they said, oh, no, we can't. Then in that case, you might want, maybe look for alternative. It could be, registering yourself for the course online, or checking something online, or maybe if there's somewhere else which you think you can get the same experience and then get those, knowledge training as well, then you might have to leave here.
Thank you very much, Idris. I mean, see, I agree with everything Idris has said. We've got about, the questions are just so much. I don't know how we're going to be able to get through them. I remember when I said to Idris, was it last night? I was saying to Idris, was like, these questions are for 10 sessions. They are a lot. So let's see how much we can get through that. So if anyone has anything that they want to share, questions, I'm not promising you that we'll get there at all. But put it in the chat box, okay? In the meantime, let us get as much as we need to get from Idris and Tosin and Richie. I've got my own piece of questions here, about 24 of them. I don't think that I'll be able to get through them. My responses may have to come through posts to you on my page or something. I don't know that I'll be able to get through all of this, but let's see how much we can get through. So if you have anything you want to say, questions or whatever, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I don't know that we'll get there, but let's see how far we go. Okay, fabulous. So Idris, just let me ask the second question, just to back up what you just said. It says, this person said to Idris Ayinde as a big 4-star boy, what is your secret sauce? What is the secret sauce that took him across the big 4 organizations?
Okay, so yeah, I think I need to, now confident. So this is not like straight talking. And so I left, when I left Deloitte actually for PwC at the point when I left. For people that are probably familiar, it was at peak of IFRS 9, and it was absolutely critical for me at that point. I saw it, there was an opportunity for me to get that hands-on experience in terms of IFRS 9 implementation. I think there was like some massive project happening at that point in time, and I think when I joined PwC, then I joined in the midst of that massive IFRS 9 project. That it was a massive project with like lots of it was with the bank where they had you had to go to they had to implement IFRS 9 for branches 35 African countries. So it was really massive and hands-on, and I think I gained quite a lot within that short period of time. So it was a learning opportunity for me at that point in time, and that was because of that. Now, so my journey into accounting advisory wasn't accidental. So I'd never wanted to do audit. So it was a conscious of effort for me. And, right from time I had known, when things around the IFIs and accounting development happened, right from the UK, it's always where most of the things, kickstart from. So at the start of my career, I had my eyes on, practicing within the UK as well. So that was when the opportunity sort of arose for me to move to the UK, then I took it, and that's how I joined KPMG. Currently, I'm with EY, and at some point in your career, you will decide you want to sort of focus on something quite specific, right? So, and for me, EY had a very structured sort of treasury solution within the accounting advisory team, and it was a massive opportunity for me to further grow in that role, and I'm absolutely enjoying what I do currently at EY because it's that path, that's the pathway in which I think I've, realized it's something I enjoy doing and I would like to go for it. So yeah, it wasn't about the money or anything, but it was just around, getting what I think was best for my career at that point in time. And I think I saved the best for the last, so no shade to yeah, yeah.
You've got jokes. Are you saying EY best or whatever?
Let's just continue.
Okay, thank you very much just for sharing your story with us. Um, Richie, does one stand a chance of getting into any of the big fours as a business analytics intern, even when one is above 26 years of age?
Okay, yeah. I don't think there's still age barrier in joining the big four, right? I know that even for some entry level roles, there might be some restrictions, right? But irrespective, there's really no age barrier for joining the big four. And I just want to point out that the reason why you would see many of the, if at all you see any big four still using age barrier, is just because of the level of communication, right? The way you would tell someone that is younger than you, or let me say someone that is within your age range, to do something would be much better, much different from the way you will instruct somebody that is far above your age. So let's take, for example, I'm a manager now and I'm just about 28 years old, and I have a associate that is about 35 years old. So you know that, especially in the kind of environment you find ourselves, it could be a kind of barrier having a conversation with that person on tasks to do. So that is why there is a age limit in some instances, right? But for experience hire, no age limit. Now for business analytics intern that you mentioned, right? 26 years old. I don't think it's a bad one for you to get an opportunity to join Big Four, right? So there's really no age barrier, but you might need to find out specific requirements for that role in the Big Four you're applying to.
Yeah.
That's my comment on that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I know obviously that age thing is sorry, it's just a Nigerian thing to know. Because I mean, who's going to be asking what your age is? Except obviously someone tells you, who cares? Anyways, so please don't look at your age, just apply for the opportunities you feel you qualify for. That's it. Richard, let me come to you again. What is the importance of having mentors?
I've actually had the opportunity to, so I'm going to use a personal experience so that we can all relate it to it very well. So I've had the opportunity of being mentored, right, by two top professionals, one of them being the West African tax leader for Deloitte, and subsequently I have the head of tax for KPMG in Nigeria. Now, why do I make the reference to these two guys? If you look at them very well, they are actually at the peak of their careers, right? And being a mentee under both of them has really helped my career trajectory. So in summary, having a mentor kind of help you to scale up faster, help you to avoid some kind of mistake that you could have made, and also help you to leverage their own experiences, right, to move, to make some kind of strategic decisions, strategic movement in your career. So, for example, I remember that I think I made a post yesterday on my LinkedIn, right? I was talking about side hustle and the likes. So I do write very well. I write on so many blogs, sometimes newspapers. And there was a day that my mentor just told me that, oh, Richard, this you are doing, you can make money from it. I was like, make money like how? He said, people that write for all those guys that do speech and and before you know it, one of them just linked me up with somebody, and then I started writing, and I was getting like very huge amount for writing few pages. So sometimes they give you insight into your innate ability, some of the capacity that you know that you might not even be aware of that you have. They also help you to see it. So, and just to add to that, mentorship is actually very powerful when you leverage it and you don't make it a one-way kind of traffic, right? Make it two ways. And so what do I mean by two ways? You should also be able to contribute to your mentor in some ways. So if he's having a program, you can know how to make it elaborate, try to know, just a way of giving back to him and make sure that if you're having a mentor, it will not be just you collecting from the person. For example, if Orelua is organizing this session now, right? Everybody is benefiting from it, but somebody can just volunteer. Okay, I want to do this. I want to help you with the collection of data. I want to help you with the allocation of these questions. Those are ways you give out to your mentors, right? So it should not be a one-way kind of relationship. It should be both ways. So mentorship is actually very important for every young professional that wants to scale up faster. Mentorship is very important. And if you even look at it, even in almost every space of life. We have kind of mentorship. Some people look at their parents and they see them as a mentor. Some look at their pastors and see them as a mentor. Some look at their teachers and see them as a mentor, right? Having somebody that is ahead of you in that career path makes the journey easy for you. So that's one of the I think the benefits of having a mentor can do for you as an individual. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much, Richard, because I mean that makes a lot of sense to me. And I remember that what post did I make that someone said, "Oh, our career coach has a career coach." Obviously, I've got a career coach. Are you joking? I've you can look if you have me, this random person on LinkedIn who is mentoring you. You can be in maybe healthcare. I cannot mentor you effectively. There's no matter how I can't mentor you effectively. I can mentor you generally how to approach story. That's it. You can have up to 2-3 people you look up to, someone on your line, so maybe it can even be someone who is almost like your immediate boss, someone that you're like, someone who can show you the way in your line. Then you can have a general mentor, someone you just go to discuss general stuff. Then obviously there are other areas of your life that are very, very important, like your family. If you're married, for instance, you need someone to continue to give that energy for a fantastic woman. You can have all spirituality, obviously. So you can have a mentor in that regard as well, to have your well-being all sorted. So it's really good to have people you look up to, obviously not to be like them 100%, be like yourself, but people that you can bounce off ideas of. And obviously they're very useful for your career, for your personal life and all of that. Okay, we need to move quite quickly. So Tosin, I'm going to come to you for a bit. Most of the questions I've got remaining for you, Tosin, they are very interrelated. So obviously you'll be answering one for each or whatever. This person says, I was recently promoted in my organization. The promotion was more of a transfer from a department to another. How can I be more productive and adapt quickly into the new role?
Okay, so I'm going to piggyback on your mentor comment, because if you're so promotion is just like being in a new role. It could also serve as you coming into an organization for the first time. It's new expectations, right? Mentorship is very important in that sphere of life. Coaching is very important. Being able to listen. So I know when we come into a new role, we want to prove ourselves. We want to prove ourselves that we are, we are qualified for the new role, or we're qualified for the promotion, or I feel, or I find, the first few months in that role is actually a learning process.
Yep.
And you have to be humble enough to acknowledge that it's a learning process. There would be people in that, unless it's a brand new role that was created specifically for you, there will be people in that organization that have got into that role, surpassed that role. Keep your eye out for who are those excelling in your organization. What did they do? And it doesn't have to be formal mentorship. It could be an informal, oh, let's go for a coffee chat. Are you open to a coffee chat? I know there are people that just book coffee chats in my calendar and I've never heard of them before, right? And I go into the meeting be like, okay, So I guess what I'm trying to say is the first thing is humility.
Mhm.
Be humble enough to admit to yourself that you don't know everything that is needed for that role. I mean, you were competent enough in your previous role that people saw something in you to offer you the new role. Be confident in that. Find mentors, find people who have excelled, right, in their roles above you, and tap from them, tap from that well, right? Be a team player. Don't come, and it goes back to, I think, the first question. Don't come trying to command everybody in that, because the truth of the matter is there are people who may be on the totem pole, you're higher up, but they know it more than you do because they have been doing that for donkey years while you're in your other role, right? Be open enough to get that feedback from them. Be open enough to be a team player. Be open enough for people to see you as approachable, and you'll be fine in your new role. There was something that was seen in you that, got you in that place in the
Yeah.
first place.
The next question is almost similar, so I'm not going to ask that, but there is a part 2 to that question which says, how do I conveniently balance work and life?
Hey ho. uh, Okay, let me be honest with this. So my career, and my career still is, I started my career in the Big Four and it's still in a Big Four. Work-life balance when you're lower in the totem pole, maybe a little bit difficult to achieve. That's just the honest truth. If you have a goal in mind, like if you just want to be average or three, yes, that's fine. And I'm not saying there's anything bad in that. I'm just saying, what goals do you have for yourself? And how quickly do you want to achieve that? Right. So, just me being honest, work life balance at the start of your career may be a little hard.
Yep.
I find as you grow higher, it's easier to achieve because I can't remember who said that you're able to delegate some tasks, and even you being able to delegate is a positive because you're saying, you're trying to teach other people. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. But your first years, look at it as your training years because it would form the foundation and the bedrock of where you want to be. So to answer that question without answering that question, that may be a dream that you want to look forward to later on in your career. But because in your first year, for example, from the Big Four perspective, you're writing professional exams, you're trying to meet deadlines, you're trying to be the star on your team, it's just too many conflicting things that, and okay, from a personal experience, I joined the firm as you said, straight from school. I was already married. I kind of got married 1 month before I resumed in PwC. So I was moving to Lagos for the first time, which is a terrible city, by the way. But trying to, you just can't. Something would give for the other. It's just that's been my personal experience. Something would give, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think I'll just stop there.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Let me tell you, I mean, it's not just when you're starting your career. It depends on where you're working, right? If you're working in a very high pressure, then that's me. I don't like to engage in that conversation. Personally, work-life balance. I personally don't like to engage in that conversation because I feel like there is no balance. I don't believe there is a balance, right? It's either it's just me, my personal opinion. Today, what is more important today? Is it my work, meeting that deadline, making sure nothing goes wrong? In that instance, I hate to say that my family may suffer. I may not see my kids go to bed that day or that week. I've had 2 weeks, 3 long weeks, I don't see my kids go to bed because obviously I'm working till very late, sometimes away from town. So in that 2 weeks before I sign off my year-end audit, my family will give. Like they know that that's my busy time, so they give, right? Outside of that, there are other times when I close normal time, so I'm enjoying time with my family and all of that. So I think just my personal opinion, there are times when it's work during that moment. Then there's time when to be relaxed and it's family. And I make sure I enjoy it to the best. When it's time with my family, I don't mix work with it. When it's time with work, I don't really mix family as such. You don't understand. So you just what is important right now. And that's what I cannot do. So I don't get into the zone of always complaining this work, because I know that there's a time when it's this work. And then there's a time when it's summer, it's not too bad. I've got enough time with my family and I'm trying to enjoy it. So sorry, I'm supposed to be moderator, not talking. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, I know we've just got 10 minutes with you, but let me quickly go to Idris and Richard, and then I'll sort of circle back before you leave us, Tosin. Okay, Idris. I'm just going to skip some questions that I feel like we've answered already. Okay. Let me go to your question 7. What does it take to survive in a corporate field?
Yorubas, they do say Ojuogunle. Yeah, but then I mean with experience. So, and I think there's a question around policies. I think what you probably need to realize is, regardless of wherever you are, the organizations or wherever it is, there's something called the office politics. It exists anywhere, in any jurisdiction, any continent, or even under the ground. As long as you're working in a setting that involves people, there's always politics. Now, you need to, but being in a corporate world, it's an healthy politics. It's not the like we see in TV where people they misalign, or they slander people on national TV and stuff like that. It doesn't get that so bad. But the point is, there's this sort of like politics around, in terms of the certain organization, even within leadership, sort of aligning the kind of work you do, the sort of opportunity that you get. Now, and I think the best way to survive in that kind of setting is, I think Barry at one point said, I'm for everybody and then I'm for nobody. So you need to be careful as to, your alignment, you can
Mm.
have like some, peripheral alignment, but, it shouldn't be to like to entirely to one side, or stuff like that. So, study the entire environment, and, and each point in time, always have your career as like your key priority, in terms of, okay, at this point in time, what do I need, to make my career go? Do I need like specific type of opportunity? And if you need like some specific type of opportunity, it might mean that you need to speak to people. So in some instances, I work with some type of people like quite so often. But the instances where the opportunity I need now, it requires me to speak with someone else or work with someone. Now, if the other person is fighting with who you're working with, it's none of your business at that point in time.
Mm.
I've been in a situation where, two people like called me, okay, they wanted to like, do like some split. I said, well, I will split my time 50% here, 50% here with you. And then they were both confused. I said, you guys go and sort it out. But, you don't bring me into your fight and stuff like that. And I think that's where you probably also need to be very careful. So as much as possible, if the opportunity you need requires, you aligning with lots of people, please do that. And, you don't sort of take some bit of side as well. I think I'll just keep it that's so simple. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And if I want to add to office politics, me, this is my personal belief, because I lied to myself for a long time, for like 5 years. I'm like, I don't do office politics. I'm not interested. Office politics is that part of the job description that is never written. But for you to succeed, you must succeed at it. So if it is one of the most important skill you can learn. All of them learning Excel. And forget, there are people that don't know half of what you know, and they are the boss's friend. They are there when the boss is having their birthday party. They know all the names of the boss's kid. They know when their boss is doing birthday. And when it's time for promotion, it's availability bias. Who do I recall first? This person that is always there, that knows my birthday, that sends me a message, that aligns with me. When the boss is saying something, you should be saying, yes, we can do it. Yes, yes. You are other than you're like you are the one always disagreeing with the boss. You are the one not always aligning. Like, so if he needs learning, office politics, corporate world is tricky. So that office politics, I really like that point. Okay, let's quickly take one question with Richard, then I'll come back to you, Toasting, to see if we can get through your questions before we let you go. Richard, how do you make your point when you're not giving the audience?
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's a very fantastic question. And somehow when you're talking about the person trying to please the boss and trying to, make the boss feel good and all the likes, and the person eventually getting promoted, right? It's actually one of those things that we need to also know when we are going to link it back to this question. So how do you make your point when you are not giving the audience? So for example, if you are that kind of person that when your boss says this, you are always opposition, you're always having another idea that contradicts what you have said. Trust me, most times you might not even be giving the audience at all. Right? So, and one of the things I just jotted down here was that it's not every time that you have to make a point, or you have to make your point established. So it's not every time. So sometimes you need to just calm down. Sometimes you need to refrain from talking.
Yes.
Right? That way you get some respect. They say that it's better to be silent and be taught to be a fool than to speak and remove every doubt. So so sometimes just because sometimes your contribution might not really make sense. Maybe they're talking about something else entirely, and then by the time you drop your very brilliant idea, the thing just looks like what this guy is saying. So what I'll just say is that you need to maximize every opportunity to, of course, shine and make your points known, especially when it is relevant. And you can only do that by demonstrating your level of intelligence. right? So that is, if a discussion is being made, or there's an ongoing conversation now, like for example, I was on a session this morning with CITN, and somebody was trying to tell the chairman to allow me finish talking. Now, when the chairman could not talk, I had to. Somebody told me to continue talking. Now, when the chairman came back, I had to back out and let him continue first. Now, sometimes it's just about having emotional intelligence, right? The fact that two people are arguing with each other does not mean that you should not be sensitive enough to know when to calm down and stay back. So what am I saying in the next sense is that sometimes you might not be given audience to speak, right? But you understand that it's not every time that you also need to speak. So once you have that mindset, then by the time you are speaking, it will come with sense. They will know that this guy, okay, you're actually right, and you can make some valid contributions at that point. So just to conclude on that, right? So like I said, it's not every time you make your point known. Sometimes you just have to reserve it to yourself, and maybe subsequently you can now discuss or make other point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Idris, you had something to contribute.
Yeah, when I say that, understanding when and what to speak really matters. So you could be on a call and, you probably have your bosses on the call as well. You don't want to shine and then, wash down your boss. They're like more appropriate way to do those things. And, one of the things I do, it sounds a bit quite funny, is if I'm on a call or somewhere, and maybe my boss is, yarning, what I think, okay, it looks like what you're saying is not correct. I probably rephrase what I want to do, and then I just ask the person that, actually, I was just thinking, or what about this? Have you thought about this? And I say, Idris, actually, you're right. And then the person retracts their steps, and then they come back to it. And then there are some instances where, you wouldn't want to, you probably not thought at that point in time. Maybe
Yeah.
after the call, you raise it, you discuss with your boss, and then the boss say, oh, this is actually correct. And then the boss will just say, you know what, I'm going to send an email. And then the boss would themselves clear the mess. But what you've done is, you made your boss look right, because ultimately your boss will go back to wherever it is and let them know, I actually said something, but we've now checked or we've consulted, it
Yeah.
was wrong. This is the right thing.
Yeah.
It makes sense that way. And then you're good in with your bosses, and not that you just want to show your boss on the call or show people that, oh, you're great. It's good to be great and it's good to shine, but as much as possible, do not shine absolutely at the expense of your boss. It could be deadly.
Yeah. I agree. 100%. I agree with you. Tosin, let me come back to you. I think we've talked about coping with challenging colleagues. How do I know this workplace is meant for me?
I think you go back to your goals, right? What are your goals? You need to know where you're going, right? To know if where you are helps with you achieve that. And also workplace culture is also important, right? What is the workplace culture? Does it align with your goals? I keep going back to goals because your goals is where you want to be, right? So using that to evaluate where you currently are is, I find, to be very effective. I think that's what I would say on that. Is does the culture in here align with where I want to be?
Yeah.
Does where I am help me achieve my future goal? Does the job description I thought I was coming in here for, is that what I'm seeing, or is it something else entirely? Those help inform your decision and help you decide if you want to stay there longer or if that's the right place for you.
I agree. Look, I'm going to take wherever we get to at 5 p.m., right? We're going to take a break for about 2 minutes for people to get maybe a cup of water, whatever it is, stretch your legs, whatever, and then we'll come back at 5:02. Is that okay? But I will let Tosin talk through the next 3 minutes. Now, I've got a couple of questions here, which are very interrelated, but I think the big one that is not really interrelated is, do I need to suggest every of my good ideas to my firm? Every other one is around cultural diversity, setting boundaries. I don't know. Do you have the questions, Tosin? I just
I
wanted
think
you to speak.
the first question is a no, and it goes back to Idris and Richard. They've already talked about emotional intelligence. To be honest, I seen the comment section that people are writing, office politics, and it boils down to that as well. You need to be, so intelligence is not just book smarts, being able to do your work. You need to be able to read the environment you're in. You need to be able to read who your bosses are and how receptive they are to your ideas, right? So it's very important that you are able to do that. And the short answer to that question is a no. You don't have to say everything, or you don't have to suggest everything. Ask yourself those questions. Is it the right time? Is this something that is actually needed? And the how am I going to suggest it? Are you suggesting in a way that would show up your boss and would get you in trouble? Or are you suggesting it in a way that shows that you're a team player, you're working with your boss to achieve that, So those are slightly two different things. So,
yeah. Okay, let's take this one quickly. So how do one balance cultural diversity and individualism in a workplace?
Cultural diversity and well, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure, right? Because I feel like diversity is being diverse means that you're showing your individual self. It's what is diversity? It is differences. So I'm not sure if the question wants to be rephrased, right? But being in a workplace is being able to work with different people, right? You're meeting people of different backgrounds, different thought processes, different schooling, different cultural ideas, and they will bring that. It will show in their work. So how are you able to balance that? How are you able to balance in your people management, and I think it still comes back to emotional intelligence, right? Do you want to assert your cultural beliefs on people? Is it right to assert your cultural beliefs on people? Or are you able to pull back and realize I'm in a work environment? I don't need to be talking about this issue. It's none of my business what this person feels about this issue. We're here to do the work, right? So I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tosin. And I mean, talking about cultural diversity, I mean, look, the way we work in Nigeria, if you get the opportunity to go abroad, is totally different. You don't contribute to every conversation. If you're not sure what they're talking about, sometimes you just listen and learn. You don't talk about people. Oh, are you married? Do you have children? Just open your mouth and be talking. It does not work. And I think wherever you are, you need to be sensitive. Someone, saying, "Oh, and I used to do this when I was in Nigeria. There's this very, very good friend. He's now a CIO. I used to bully him. I'll be like, should I go organize wife for you? Do you need? You know how Nigerians we do is to mind our business.
Good morning. It was nice.
We will be in other people's business. So even right there as you are, start practicing it. Is work or anything people let you know. So if people let you into a particular aspect of that, that's where you stop. Don't go for that. When they let you in again, and when they don't ask you for advice, don't give it. Like it's not necessary. And you obviously people will tell you how they want to be worked with. I know a lot of people suffered when they moved, when they changed location, because people are not used to minding their business. But at least everybody gets to hear that on this call, that people work differently. People want to separate their personal life from their work, and that should be respected, basically. Okay.
But just to add to that before I leave, you need to understand the cultural environment of where you are, because I find sometimes, and it's helped me in my current location, adding a little bit of the personal helps people trust you, I find.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying go the RS way and say, should I be a wife for you? Don't go that way. But don't be too impersonal in your work life, because we're still dealing with humans, right? And it's just natural for people to warm up to people who show a little personal side to themselves, right? And show interest in things that interest. So say, for example, you're talking to someone you just met, showing interest in what they like helps them to open up to you and could help make your life easier. So I just wanted to buttress that a little.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Thank you very much, Tosin. It was so good to have you here. Join us. Okay, thank you very much, Tosin. Everybody, let's take 2 minutes. Let's be back at 5:05. Okay, don't go away, Julia. Just put yourself on mute. Let's remain on the call. Get a cup of tea. Get whatever Coke, whatever it is you want to get. Take a just stretch. Let's come back at 5:05 and let's continue the conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Bye, everybody.
Tosin. Bye. Okay, let's come back. Um, let's do. Oh my God, why has this gone? Just give me a moment. All right, welcome everybody. My light just went off. Anyways, let's take a bit of let's check the pulse of the room before we continue. Obviously, we've done an hour. We need to know if it makes sense for us to continue with this conversation. So I would like to take a quick feedback. If you've enjoyed the session so far, I just need to give thumbs up. And if you agree that we should continue with this conversation, I just need to give thumbs up. Fabulous. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that makes sense for us to continue. Idris and Rich. Let's continue. Now, Idris, are you there? Fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
Richard, are you back? Okay, let's start with you, Idris, until Richard comes back. Oh, okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. So Idris, this is for you. How do I conquer fear and intimidation?
Okay, it depends on what is making you afraid. I mean, if it's regarding the work, then that's fine. But if it's village people, I'm afraid I can't help. But so, I mean, what the cause of fear? It's often around it comes out of the point of incompetence or the point of incapability in terms of you having like self-doubt,
Mm.
right? There are some instances where I've gone or sort of raised my hand and my hands up to take on some opportunity or to do some things, and you would sort of have this self-doubt at the back of your mind, and can you really do this? And then I end up doing some of those things, and then people come back to you and say, Idris, you did fabulously well, this is fantastic, excellent, can you do more of this and stuff like that. And that's why I realized that the initial fear I had was, sort of like a self-doubt as to if I can do it. But I think in most instances, if you don't actually push yourself out of like your comfort zone, you wouldn't sort of, sort of be able to overcome some of those fear. As an individual, like personally, I'm someone that I'm quite reserved. I don't like talk so much, and I'm like the gentle type. And when I moved to the UK at first, when I joined calls, client call, I just sit down there gently without saying anything. And, and it was out of, I don't want to say something and, they would, or I probably misyan or say something that is wrong. But I think at some point, instances where, because I think, maybe someone is saying something off track, I felt that I think I needed to have come in there, but that fear would sort of keep you not joining. But I think over time, I realized that, it's actually good to be out there, make an effort, even though as little as it might be. And I think over time I sort of gain that sort of like self-confidence, and naturally it flows. I'm able to come in and speak on conversations on calls and stuff like that. So I think it comes out of the point of you self-doubting yourself, and then if people are intimidating you, it's probably they're afraid of you as well. So I think, and one of the ways you can do is if you're having that sort of atmosphere where people you're feeling being intimidated, it might be around having some bit of conversation with the person if possible, and as much as you can be helpful to people as well. People might feel intimidated because they think you're doing something and you're probably keeping things to yourself. It is in as much as you come out as someone that is quite helpful to people, and you're not there for just yourself only, people will naturally warm up to you and they wouldn't feel intimidated about you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you very much for that perspective, Idris. Richard, let me come to you quickly. I'm not going to talk about mentoring again. How do I manage high employers' expectation in a new role?
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, managing high expectation in new role. Interestingly, so let me use myself as an example, right? So when I left KPMG, I went to the industry, and I had to gather some experience, practical hands-on experience in financial reporting and accounting. Now, coming back to the Big Four, I remember when I was having. Now, I'm going to give you a quick run through of my interview process. Now, when I got to the partner's interview, the partner asked me, "Oh, based on your capacity, what role do you think you fit in?" And I said, "Senior." I was like, you that I just finished interviewing, your performance is not that of a senior. Your performance is way above a senior's performance. So he said he has manager and assistant manager role, and I should pick which one I think I fall into. I still insisted as senior, right? You know what they call the imposter syndrome. I think Idris was trying to make reference to that when somebody asked a question on fear. So I eventually just told him that senior is what I have in mind, so that I can grow on the role and I can learn, right? But eventually they gave me an assistant manager role, and trust me, what I just did basically was to prepare. I know some of the things that are expected of me, but it's a new environment. So I have to quickly prepare what I would need to do to quickly settle in. Now, when I joined, what I did was that I had a body. That is, everybody needs to have that kind of person where when you join a firm, make a close friend with someone that can easily put you through. So the expectation is always high, right? Especially when you're on probation, maybe first 3 months, first 6 months, the expectation is always high. But when you have somebody already in-house that you can run through to help you, somebody that can share templates of work papers with you, someone that can share materials with you to help you catch up faster, someone that can guide you on these are the things that we are supposed to achieve. If you are supposed to do a task completion, for example, these are the first thing you should watch out for. You need to get fixed asset register and the likes. If you are going to pay an FS, you need to make sure that the TB ties to the GL, all the mapping are correct. So you need to know some of the basic things that are expected of you. Now, for you to now become a standout talent, right, that is meeting up the high expectation, it now requires your personal efforts, right? That one, like I think Tosin mentioned, that your career is in your end, right? So for you to be meeting those expectations, you need to have what we call the personal development skills. That is those skills that you input by yourself to achieve a higher performance expectation. So, and in summary, right? In summary, the employer's expectation is always high. Let me just let you know. But you can also surpass that expectation. And how you do that is by making sure that your KPIs, you set above your KPIs. You know, so like one quote to say that if you want to aim for the star now? So if you want to aim for the moon, do as if you are aiming for the stars. So I did that when I was in school. If I want to have a B, so originally I want to achieve a B in that particular course. But I will work as if I want to achieve a A, so that the worst case scenario will not be that I fall back to that B. So what I'm saying in essence is that when you are being given a KPI that you must meet this by 18th of this month, do your own KPI. Your personal KPI should be like by 14th, I must meet it. So that the worst case scenario will now be like 16th, you're able to meet that KPI. So that's just my own thoughts about that.
And
Yeah.
not lie an interview as well, because people go to interviews and then you can bubble them through interview and say, oh, you can use SQL, you can do Excel, Python, SAS, and then you get a job and then you can't do a simple VLOOKUP in Excel. Like I've seen that play out quite often. People do they have like this massive CV, and then we get to interview. The lie will definitely show when you get a job. I've seen it play out like people have this massive CV, and then when you start working with them, you just give them one simple stuff, something to do, and then they can't even get their accounting reference. And meanwhile, you said you've done this thing over time and time over again. So we also need to be very careful about that. You can package yourself, say things you've done, quite eloquently, but if you haven't done it, then best not to lie.
Yeah, I agree with you very much on that. I think I was just going to touch on the issue of the fear, right? Now, what I've seen from my perspective is we are most times self-limiting. Okay. What exactly are you afraid of? Because Idris said it, said I can't help you if it's your village people. You see, look, what are you afraid of? Is you because you need to ask yourself that what exactly am I afraid of? You need to articulate it, and it needs to be clear as day what you are afraid of. Are you afraid that if you succeed, it will be too much for you to handle? Is that the fear? Because you cannot fail, right? If you're doing what you should be doing. So it is most likely the fear of you don't know how your life will look like if you're succeeding. You're not used to being the star boy, or you're not used to being that great person that people look at and people can go to for, is that the fear, or the fear that, oh, they'll be like, when did she come? When did she come? Is it like that? This one, is that the fear? Because if that is the fear, you shouldn't have that, right? You shouldn't. Don't be self-limiting. I saw something recently. They were asking some people, when do you think you become ready for a particular progression or whatever? They can ask you. So for instance, Idris is a manager. Idris, when do you think you'll be ready to become a senior manager, for instance? If you ask me, and it's everybody, I'm not trying to separate myself from people who are self-limited. I'm like, maybe in 2 years, so because I'm not ready. That's a lie. But that's a lie. Because if they put you in that position, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. You're going to surpass it. You won't see people that are already in that position safe, that are not as good as you are. They are not as outspoken as you are. They are not as visible as you are. They are not as value-adding as you are. But they're in that role, and nobody has sent them away already. Okay, so if the fear is the fear of I don't know how life will look like if I begin to succeed in this realm, then you need to just wake up and do what you need to do. Richard, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah. I just wanted to add that sometimes it could also be the kind of cycle that the person keeps, right? There are some people that the people you work with, they have very little, let me say, very small thinking faculty, right? Sorry to use that word. So they can't afford to see something that is big. So when it's too big, like one of my favorite leaders is Samadeyemi. So he gave an instance of someone fishing, right? He took a frying pan and so he did a length of the frying pan and said, okay, let's say 7 inches. So then he went to the pool, threw the hook and line, and then when he caught fish, any fish that is bigger than 7 inches, he throw it back inside the water. So somebody that was looking at me said, oh, why are you doing that? You're throwing all the fish you have been catching. Why are you throwing them? He said, because the fish I have is bigger than my frying pan. And they were like, that's not reasonable. You could have as well caught the big fish and cut it into two and put it in the same frying pan. Then it was like, oh, wow. So sometimes people have this kind of limiting factor because of the kind of way they grew up. So when they see that this kind of role is big, they like, is finance manager, I can't do it. It's not my calling. I'm just supposed to be an account officer. So it's just about changing that orientation. And I think this is part of why we're having this kind of session. You need to change your mindset. Once you are able to change that mindset, then you are going to break some limitations. You are going to break some barriers naturally when you are able to change your mindset. I wanted to add to the comment on that.
It looks like we're staying a lot on this question, but I feel like it's a very good question. I was also going to pick the point on expectations. How do we manage a leader's high expectation, a boss's high expectation? Sometimes the expectation is vague. There is no expectation. There is no expectation. It's just that every time you turn in work, they'll be like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You're like, the expectation is high. But that's not true because there's no expectation. A lot of people work in places where at the beginning of an FY or a financial year or whatever, or the beginning of a month or whatever, there is no written document of what is expected of you in that role. There is no written document such that there is nothing to compare your performance to. So if there is no expectation, there cannot be performance review. Because what are you reviewing? So every time you turn in a work, it's just someone is sitting down somewhere, imagining that they employed someone with 50 years of work experience. So what can you do? Because obviously that's outside of your control. What can you do? What you can do is to sit down with whoever your boss is, get some time with them and say, look, I want us to draw up what the expectation is for my work or whatever. If you can, it's really important. It also helps you because sometimes you can even have an expectation of yourself, which will not be in line with what your reviewer or whoever your boss is, what their expectation is. So sometimes you need to just align what you're expecting with what they're expecting, and you can have that call with them, sit down with them to say, see, I really need to know what I want to get up to in the next 6 months and draw up that plan and that expectation. If I do this, what does it mean? If I do that, what does it mean? You can even ask a simple question as to say, what does an high flyer in this environment mean to you? What are the things that I will do right now in my work in the next 3 months that will qualify me for a promotion, that will qualify me as an high flyer or whatever? But if you don't have that initial conversation, they will just be sending you back, your work is not good, your work is not good, or whatever. They will just, you will just be in that environment where there's no structure. Okay, that's just what I was going to add to the comment on expectation. Back to you, Idris. How do you bring up a new initiative in a company without disrupting other initiatives?
Okay, so bringing up new initiative is depending on what exactly the initiative is on, because and there are some instances where it's probably needed, in terms of what is ongoing. For example, like because of what's happening in the market quite recently, there are like some new stuff which within like my team I suggested, I think we need to do something on this line, right? Because of this and this, or I've seen this happen in a couple of clients, or clients are asking for something like this, so I think we need to do something like this. Now that's something new. it doesn't stop the existing stuff or initiative that is ongoing from working.
Yep.
Right, it might be something new. While in some other instances, it could be that maybe the existing process itself, is trashy and it needs improvement. In that instance, nobody would actually, antagonize you for, suggesting an improvement to an already existing system, which is probably failing. So it could either be, whatever you're trying to do at that point in time, ensure it would add value to the existing system, process or system, and you should be able to articulate clearly what the value add is. You're not just trying to recycle something and repackage it to look good so that you can get some cheap point. You need to clearly articulate what the value add is, right? Or alternatively, it should probably be something new, that needs to be done, and then you also articulate, why do we need to do this thing at this point in time. I think that's just what I would say. On the other point you mentioned, or regarding, sort of, expectations, I think one of the the problem that people have is they do not sort of set expectation accordingly, and that's why there's always this massive expectation gap at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you're new in an environment, or you're new in a team, or you're starting a new term, or a new financial year, or a new session, or a new year, there needs to be, usually everybody has like goals that they're working towards. So you need to, oh, this is my goal. I'm in this role, and I want to stay in this role for the next 1 or 2 years. What do I need to excel to get to that next level? And then when you do that thing, I've had some instances where, I was in a role, and then at the point I said, oh, I wanted to promote it. And then the person said, oh, I never knew you wanted to be promoted. But my expectation was that, I would, work, and then, I would get promotion. But the expectation on the other end was not that, they felt, oh, you're still comfortable, you're trying to settle in. So I had that conversation. Okay, I want to be promoted. What do I need to do? And then after the conversation, I said, oh, thank you, blah, 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 for, having this session with me. We discussed this and this, and this is what I need to do in the next 6 months to get promoted. Right. So at the end of the 6 months, we had another catch-up. Well, in our last catch-up, this is what we said I was going to do. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Now I need to be promoted. So at that point, it will be difficult for anybody to, shift the goalpost. So that at that point, it was difficult to say anything else. And at that point, I was like, put forward for the promotion, because we had the expectation. We agreed what it needs to be. It was documented. I sent an email, and then we came back to the email and looked at, well, this is what you asked me to do. And then when I'm working, I ask people, well, there's this expectation I need to meet. So when in your feedback, please kindly mention that I've done this. So it was easy to use that to go back to the first person. I said, well, we said I needed to do this. This is my feedback. The person I worked with said, I've been able to do this, this, and this. And then, it's easier that way.
What Idris just said, eh? Don't be working hard for nothing. Hey, you are just working, sha. You are just working. And you're like, oh, they know now. They know. See how hard I'm working. I'll resume 7 a.m. and I will close 11 p.m. They are very thankful that you are working hard, but that's where it ends. Okay? They are thankful to you. You are the hard worker, so they thank you. If you are working hard to get promoted, please talk about it before you start working hard to get promoted, because there are two things. There are two different things: working hard and working hard to get promoted. If your goal is to get promoted at the end of your working hard, talk to them before you start that level of working hard, because I'm not going to lie to you. There is a difference in that year when you want to get promoted, and I've seen it a lot. See, every time promotion list comes out, if you look at the people on that promotion list, you cannot doubt that they were promoted, because the way they will be everywhere. You will see them in this committee, that committee, this one, that one. They are talking in meetings. They are everywhere. This person, we shall know you want to be promoted. When the list comes out, you will see their names on the list. Okay? Yes, because that they are working hard for that year is tilted towards getting promotion. So you want the same thing, but you are not talking about it. You're not having that initial conversation to say, see, what do you want me to do to get promoted? Like, you're not talking to the person that will bang the table for you. You're not talking to them. You are now working hard. At the end of the promotion cycle, when it was time for promotion, they didn't promote you. You are now complaining. What are you complaining about? Gongono? What exactly are you complaining about? At the beginning, you had that conversation. Look, I want to get promoted. What do I do that puts me in that position where you can support me for my promotion? Okay, that's what you need to say. They will now say, do A, B, C, D, E. Some of your hard work that some people are working is meaningless hard work because you're not working in line with what is expected to take you to the next level. You're just working everything. Come, do. No, don't do that. They say do A, B, C, D, E, and you will get promoted. So every day I resume, in my case, I will look at A, B. These tasks that you're giving to me, does it support A, B, C? If it does not support it, I delegate it. Or I give it somebody else. Or I just say no. So I focus on the important things to get me promoted. Those are the things, like, okay, be in the face of my partner, for instance. I'm there, any meeting, I'm leading it. I'm sending emails. I'm there. You're seeing me. Everything you want me to do, right? I'm not just doing things that don't matter, all right? So this thing that he said, so at the end of the, in fact, you can get some informal feedback in the process. You can just pop into your boss's office. Oga Alpha, or how is it going this week? How are you? You know, I did this week. You know, I did that week. You can have informal chat. You can also ask for feedback. You know, I did this, and then write your self-review, obviously. Write your self-review before you go for your promotion cycle or whatever. It depends on your environment and how you guys do. Okay. When it's time for you to get promoted, say, I did this, I did exactly what Idris said. I know it doesn't work in every environment, but if it works in your environment, that's how you need to go about it. Okay? Fabulous. Richie, back to you. I'm just going to run around. How do I create visibility for myself in a new work environment? Sorry, Richard, I'm just speaking the question from just anywhere. I'm looking for the most important one.
All right, no
because we don't
problem.
have time.
So, how do I create visibility for myself? Right, that's a very important question. Right. So, first of all, you need to understand what your role is in the organization first. So, you don't want to be visible to the entire department when you are not useful to your current immediate department. Right. So, once you are able to fulfill the primary obligation that's expected of you, now visibility becomes easy. So let's take, for example, you are in the kind of environment. For example, now in my firm, for example, in the tax service line, I'm kind of popular, right? Many people know me, right? Now, beyond that, okay, on the job, am I good? Can I deliver on the job, right? So when you're able to satisfy the primary need of your unit, now cannot start talking about visibility. Now, visibility can come across different ways. Visibility can be about volunteering, of course. You want to be everywhere, maybe depending on how available you are, right? So, and visibility can also be about impact that you're making. So, for example, when it comes to writing articles and the likes, okay, I'm always there. When there's a new update from regulatory authorities in Nigeria, okay, I'm first to pick it up and share with the partners, and say let's come up with an article on this, right? So visibility can come in different ways. But what do you want to be known for? So that's your primary goal. What do you want to be known for? And to summarize it, I don't know if anybody, maybe Aurea and Idris might be able to add to this, right? But for the visibility aspect, I think it starts more with your individual strength. So don't go beyond your individual strength. Look at how you can help yourself to be visible, and then before you can start talking about helping others to become visible. So that's my own view on that visibility in your current immediate environment.
Yeah, I think I'll
Idris.
just add to that is that, before you even become visible yourself, you need to, you need to sort of eliminate yourself, right? You need to, like, as an individual, you need to have built yourself over time. And I'll give you a simple example of myself. I think when I joined Deloitte, and one of the partners that spoke to us during our induction, he mentioned something around, like, if you can dedicate at least 1 hour of your time daily for your own personal development in your career, and then see where you'll be in the next 5 years. So I took on that sort of that advice, and that's where then Deloitte has the sci-fi manual, the Deloitte High Gap. I probably would have read almost the entire Deloitte High Gap. That's why if anybody should ask any questions on any accounting bit, I can always tell you that I've seen this thing definitely somewhere. And then I would just I just open it mysteriously. And I think I mean, now I do less of reading. But I think what that did for me was that within that first 5 years of my career, it sort of laid that sort of like solid foundation such that I tried to like read something such that it built myself so that people now know that, you know, most times for any sort of things like sort of like accounting related stuff, I had like people that call me, like people I've worked with like many years ago. Someone would just tell them, you know what, just call Idris. Idris will tell you something about this. And then people call, and then mysteriously I find out, okay, I think I've seen this thing before and I can help people. And because you've built that sort of you've developed yourself in that sort of way, then it's easy to now go out where people would know you for something specific. And that's why, like in my unit or in my team, when people talk about something, there was a day that someone sent like a training invite out. Someone said I did not open that invite because I knew that when they mentioned this topic, I know you just definitely has to be part of the presenter. She said she opened it and said she saw that my name was there. And the reason for that is that you would have naturally built yourself so that people would know you for it. And then you would naturally gain that visibility by maybe by working and stuff. And then they're not like the other bit of visibility where you have to like actually like you make effort to, and it ultimately depends on what do you want to achieve, who do you need to be visible for and stuff like that. So yes.
Thank you very much, Idris and Richard. You guys have made solid points. When I was back in Nigeria, visibility was, I know, was it Abayomi that said, Ojuaye, like, look, let me tell you something. Let me change your mindset. There's nothing like Ojuaye. I saw some questions that I struck out because it's not a question. Like, how do I avoid office politics while growing my career? It's not a question. It's not a question. Ojuaye is, there's nothing like that. Someone asked a question about how do I be myself without, how do I do this without being nosy? You're going to be nosy if you want to grow in your career. Okay, I've got a friend. She's part of our mentors. There's something I loved about her when we worked together. I really loved it. This, my friend, when you are in the same room, when somebody is talking about this, she will listen. When someone is talking about this, she will listen. When someone is talking about it, she will listen. She'll listen to everybody. She'll be doing her work. She'll listen here, listen there, listen. When a partner comes or a senior manager comes and they're asking for update like that, she'll be like, oh, you mentioned something. She knows everything. She's contributing about everything. You can use the word nosy. It doesn't matter. But let me tell you, every meeting we had, they are looking to her like she'll definitely have something to say because she's on top of pretty much everything. She wasn't even the team lead or anything. She was just the senior that time on the job. So you see that Ojuaye that you're saying, it's not a thing because you need to put yourself out there. So all those people back then too, I used to be like, well, these people that they would lead meetings, they would do this. For you to grow in your career, for you to get all the opportunities you need, for people to trust you. Because sometimes if you don't put yourself out there, there's nothing to trust. So for people to trust you, for you to build a proper reputation, you have to put yourself out there. You have to Ojuaye, you have to do it. And it's not Ojuaye as in, it's not bad because it shows that you are interested in the business. For you to want to be involved with this, be involved with that, obviously without breaking your back. Another thing I wanted to say initially about expectations is this. There is no, how do I put this? The best way for you to gain your superior to your side is by giving them the power to determine what priority is at every point in time. So for instance, you come into work in the morning, you know what you do on a daily basis, so that's fine. So, but you just go ahead working, you don't talk to your boss or anything. If you want to change the game, every morning when you come to your work, go into your boss's office or go to ask them, what are those things you have on your plate you need help with, or what do you think is priority? What should I focus on in terms of priority? Or are there things that you have on your plate that I can quickly help you with? You see all those, my bosses, I'm intimidated, they are fear. It will naturally go away because what you're doing is to say, your life is going to be extremely easy because I'm here. So start having those initial conversations. What can I do for you? Do you have anything I can help you with? or you, even if you see your boss under some sort of panic, or they are like, what can I do to help, that kind of deal. It's a game changer, having a conversation with them rather than just assuming that today I just do what I did yesterday. Okay. And I'm going to touch on the point that Idris said about reading. I made a post just last week about reading. Reading will change the game for you. I don't even know what to say other than that. A lot of people don't read. Read. Everything about your work, read it. If you're in sales and marketing, read sales and marketing. If you're an accounting, read accounting. If you read anything, read. Put 30 minutes on your calendar every single work day. Obviously, you're going to spend 8 hours at work every single day. Anyways, if you take 30 minutes, because it's not everybody like me, I've got that short attention span. So 30 minutes every day, read something related to your work. A year, just in 1 year, you will see how everything will change for you. Sorry, I'm just supposed to be a moderator. I'm talking too much. Sorry. Back to you, Idris. What is what? When you get to exciting offers, what should be the core things you need to consider to weigh your options?
Okay, yeah, I think I haven't written something on this before. When you have two offers, you would you would always need to sort of examine why in terms of the opportunities that you would get, right? And I think I wrote an article around like my big four experience at some point, where there was a point when I had like there was a UK offer, and then there was a point when I had like another, tax-free offer as well. It was massively, it was massive in terms of the pay and stuff like that. But what came back in terms of the deciding factor was that, before I even got to that point in time, I'd always had my eye that I wanted to work like in the UK, because that's where a lot of stuff in accounting stuff work. So that one of the offers speaks to that goal of mine, and I think taking that offer at that point in time, would help me gain that advantage. Now the other thing, it now also depends on what the offers are. You can ask questions or speak to people that might have experience as well. Maybe like the working culture. I had like a friend that called me at some point, he wanted to choose between, staying where he is in terms of the big four, and then another big four firm, and then we looked at the two opportunities, and then we started talking, okay, this point, which of them would you be able to, that you would have enough, freedom to do exactly what you want to do, the working culture, what's the salary difference? Ultimately, he stayed where he is. It was a lower salary, right? But I think money would also be part of the deciding factor. But I always tell people it should probably be last, except it's like times 10 of what you're in currently. In that case, I might say, okay, it's no brainer. You probably want to go. Yeah, but if it's just like like a small difference, and that's why I said don't start with the money, because you would get confused and ultimately want to go with the highest one. Look at some other things as well, and then that's what should help you in deciding.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Idris. Richie, let me ask you this question. How do I thrive in a work environment where there is nothing to do?
Where there is nothing to do, is there really an environment where there is nothing to do? Right, that's the first question. Because
there is. Are you joking? you are living in a bubble in that your big four, Richard. You are living in a bubble.
I'm just wondering that is there really an environment like that, right? Because even your work alone is enough for you to carry as a burden. Not to talk of you saying, okay, but let me just address the question from the perspective that the person is working in maybe in an unstructured environment. Let's say sometimes public sector, where you just get to receive documents, and if nobody brings a document throughout the entire day, you're just sitting down on the desk not doing anything, right? So the truth is that kind of place you can't thrive. So I won't try to mince words. So I'll just advise that you get to an environment where it's more challenging for you. So that's just my summary. I don't know if other co-speakers have any other points, but I think when you don't have any tasks to do, it's better you just move to an environment where you can.
I can mention. I think even in the big four as well, we have like the cycle. Particularly those in audit, there's like busy season and then the off, non-busy season. For the guys in the audit. Now, I think what is quite important is during that point where you're probably on the bench and you don't have like much stuff in terms of work to do. That's the time to build your skill to learn. So if you're in a structured organizations where, well, maybe by nature of timing of work and stuff, you probably don't have something to do. That's where you build your skill. You know, I mean, I've been in my own personal example, I'm hardly on the bench, but there are instances where, probably in between, I'm trying to, change in between project and then I have like some free time. That's the time where I, sit down to think about, what are the things we can do to improve, our current work process. Is there like, because oftentimes they're like maybe new product or, new sort of service offering that we've been trying to do that, because we've been busy, we don't have time for it. That's where you go, like I go like my business development mode or like my training mode, or like I have like some outstanding CPD and stuff. You use those time to fill in. But as Richard mentioned, if where you are it's constantly no work, then I think it would sort of affect you personally, and you probably just be relaxed. So you probably need to go where you could be challenged better, or as well you can just use the opportunity to start learning, rather than watching movies at work, start learning some new skills and, use some of those time to apply for a new job to move out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. And you said everything, because I wrote here: learn, apply your skills, everything you're learning, make sure you're applying to your environment, and apply for other opportunities. If you are the best person where you are, as in you're a career starter or you've been there for a while, but you are basically the best in the room all of the time, it doesn't look like you're being challenged or anything. Yeah, apply those free time to other better opportunities, I would say. So yeah, I agree with Idris and Richard. Okay, so Idris, this is for you. How do I deal with myself and the job when I'm not happy with the job?
If you're not happy with the job, uh, I mean, I don't know what's not making you happy. Is it you're not enjoying exactly what you do, or the environment is quite toxic? So,
Mm,
I mean, if you're not enjoying what you do, then the advice will be, are there potential opportunity to do something else? Within the sphere of that same organization. Now, starting with someone quite recently, the person was doing audit, and the person was trying to learn about, what we do, like in my business unit, like in fast in the firm, right? So this person was like, I think I'm tired of audit. So if where you are, there are potential to explore some other opportunities, which is quite common with like, areas like Big Fours and like, if you're probably doing audit and you think, audit is not your calling, you can speak with people. You might be able to get opportunity to move to tax or consulting or advice, even though it might be maybe at the same level or something lower, but the opportunities for you to explore something new. So if you are not enjoying what exactly you do, explore whether there's opportunity to explore to do something new in your current organization. Or, but if it's really about the environment and there's nothing you can do in terms of escalating, to de-escalate whatever tension that is there, then maybe it might be good to change the work at that point in time.
yeah, I agree with you 100%, Idris. We've got what, 15, 14 minutes to go. There are equally important questions here. However, I feel like obviously not everybody will register her here. So I think it will be useful to give the room a chance, just in case some of those questions may even relate to people who are not here. So it may be useful to give the room a chance to. I know people have dropped some things in the chat box, but it may be useful to, just get some sort of energy into the room. Now, if the question, this is opening up the floor for people to ask maybe questions, but basically questions, and we're going to respond to them quickly. If the question you're about to ask has been answered, please don't ask. Okay. What we will also do with the other questions that we don't get to today is we'll probably make them into posts and post them, whatever it is. But obviously, there will be things that we already know that these are pain points for people. Another sort of conversation we would also sort of have in like 2 minutes is especially because I see a lot of questions around people who are joining. Maybe we should do that before even opening the room up. People who have joined the Big Four in the UK from Nigeria as maybe audit managers or assistant managers and maybe struggling. So it's fine. If you have got a question, you can raise up your hand, but I would just personally like to address that point. Now, if you've joined the Big Four from Nigeria and it seems like you're struggling or you don't, that is really not something we can really address fully on this call. So he just was shaking his head because it's long.
It's long. The person probably just needs to like, I mean, I don't know if they can reach out to or reach out to me separately. It's
It's
probably like
long.
a separate conversation entirely,
Yeah.
and it could be quite funny because you're someone that you're a star or you're doing like excellently quite and then you move to an entirely new environment and then your things are like quite different. So yeah, so that we don't get into the details.
No,
We
yeah,
can
I
pick
agree.
that conversation there. It's a
I
long
agree.
lot to
It's
unpack.
very long. Yes. So if you're here and you're really bothered about that, please send me a message. If we're getting a lot of messages, I would definitely can turn it into a small event, an hour call on a Saturday or Sunday where we can, myself, Idris, if Idris is available that weekend, and we can maybe body up with one or two other people to chat to you about it. But yeah, Sunday.
Okay. Good evening.
I
Hi. Thank you for this wonderful section. Like it has really been very impactful. Thank you very much. So there's this question someone asked that what would you do if you don't have much to do at your place of work? Actually, I'm currently facing that kind of situation. So I got tired of my job. So I resigned. Then I joined because I was tired of what I was doing. So I resigned and I joined a new firm. And when I got there, everything that they promised me was not what I actually got in terms of the roles and everything. I wasn't doing much. Like I wasn't doing much, and I'm this kind of person that I really like to put myself out because I really like I love to learn a lot. So I reached out to a lot of people. They advised me to take this opportunity. I'm not doing much at work. To take this opportunity to learn, to upskill. And I've been doing that, but still, I still get bored because I spend like 9 hours at work. Sometimes I press my phone. Sometimes I don't get to always watch YouTube videos on so many things on because I'm in a work environment, so I don't really have that much privacy, and it's like a open environment. It's not like a place where I can easily stay and do my stuff. Like it's an environment where anything I'm doing, the person behind me would be seeing it. So I don't really have that much freedom in terms of me learning at work. So it became boring. Like I became bored. So I decided to throw myself out again. And now I got another offer, but it's different, like entirely different from what I've been doing. So now I just kind of need an advice on how to go about it, and I don't know if it's actually the right path for me. And so I just need like an advice. So thank you.
Okay, so Sunday, I think what we're going to do is I think we need more context as to what exactly you need help with because you said it's different from what you had done before. Do you want to send me a message on LinkedIn? I know I've got a lot of messages, but I definitely will make time to come back to you. So send me a message. Give me in that message a context as to what the issue is now in your new place, and then I will chat to you personally on that issue. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Moses. Moses, are you there? Okay, Damilola.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
go
can
on
hear you.
to the question.
Yeah. Yes. So my question is that I just got to a new environment. My previous work, I don't really like what I'm doing. Like I was changed from my role, accounting role to inventory officer. So after some time, I just have to endure to to get a new job. So, but this is my current job I'm doing now because I've moved to another company. So I'm doing my accounting job, but I don't really like the environment because my expectation was very high to what I'm seeing like currently. So I don't really like the environment, the culture, how the environment look like, how they treat their staffs.
Mm.
So I was not even regretting that. Why did I leave my previous work? Something like that. So I don't know what I can do. Can you advise me? Something like that.
Okay, Idris, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think things around culture, it's a quite tricky one, and one also needs to be very careful in terms of moving from one job to the other, because it might be like a red flag for some employers. So you haven't spent too much somewhere and then you moved. But I think if it's something like around culture, like environmental stuff, and it's not something you can change, yeah, I think oftentimes if it's something that you can change, you can influence, or you can speak to someone about, and they can do something, then fine, you can have that conversation. But if that's impossible, then I'm afraid it'll probably be around, continue looking for a better opportunity, or somewhere where you think you might be okay. You don't want to work somewhere and then when you come in like 8:30, when you should be 8, someone asks you to kneel down, or just a funny example. Yeah, but I'm just saying that if it's that so toxic and stuff like that, like the bosses abusing you, and like some physical assault and stuff like that, you know definitely, yeah, you have to leave. And if it's not that so easy, then just endure and then look for the opportunity and then move when it arises. Yeah, if it's around culture, I always advise people the best is probably just move on.
Yeah. Richie, you had something to add to that.
Yeah, so I had a similar. I've actually had something very similar before, right? Where I was feeling like I was underutilized in former place and I joined a new place. Now I'm enjoying the work, but the kind of environment is a bit toxic,
Mm.
right? Where the boss can say anything and nobody can question him. Even the HR cannot question him because the HR met him in the company,
Mm.
right? So, so now I had to choose between um trying to lower my ego, reduce my standard of expectation from the company, and deliver my job, right? So when I did that, what that did was that I got noticed, right? The chief operating officer was like, okay, this guy is actually very good. He prefers working directly with me than to work with my boss. And that even created more problem because the person that ordinarily has issues with anybody trying to outshine him, of course. So it was a very complex one, right? But how I managed it was that I make sure that, like Orelu mentioned, you need to have a conversation with your boss. Okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do today? How can I help you to achieve it? Right. That was actually what helped me. So the man does not really have much on his table. I'm always willing to help him. Anything at all, even if it's not official, I'll just tell him, sir, just give it to me. I'll do it for you. And before you know it, I was able to get on a good page with him. Now, even though if you look at the review on the internet, you see some people past employees review, right? You see that this place is very toxic, place is very, but trust me, when you are able to manage it, you can change the narrative. So it might not be as
Mm.
huge or as fantastic as you expect the environment to be, but you can also make some impact by, of course, trying to manage the situation as much as you can. But if you now see that it's becoming brutal, where like one of my favorite posts I usually read on Mondays, Yemi Fashion, he posted, he said that there are some bosses that until they make correction to that word that you wrote is never correct. That if you write a letter of 2 pages, even if it's 2 lines, if they've not add comma to it to adjust it, it's never correct. There are some places like that. So if it's not kind of
Mm.
environment where you are never perfect until the boss has put his own input there, then maybe you might need to start thinking of making some strategic career move from that environment. Thank you.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much, Richie. Moses, I can see you back now. Can you, just because, I mean, we have 3 minutes to go. I don't know how we
Yeah,
want to do this.
yeah.
Like,
I have an stop at 6 as well, so
yes, we just need to stop. And obviously, I don't know how we're going to go about this. But Moses, can you go straight to your question? Is your question something we have not addressed at all?
Yes, please. I want to have a knowledge of how how a person transiting from sector role to the corporate sector, does the experience there, how does the transition looks like? Does the experience count from the public sector? Can it be considered for a experienced hire? Thank you.
Okay, and I believe, look, this is what I'm going to say, Moses. Okay, let me mute him. Okay, I think we're back now. For everyone who's raised their hands now, I promise you, drop your questions in my LinkedIn message. If I'm not connected with you, I can see all of you, Moses, Rewana, Bala, Okpeoluwa, Damilola. I can see all of you, so I know you. Drop your messages in my DM. I promise you before close of day tomorrow, I'll respond to all your messages. I promise. Moses, the only thing I'm going to say about your question is your experience, working experience is relevant, right? It's just how relevant it is to that particular role you're applying to. That's another question. But obviously, you may need a bit of guidance, which we don't have the time to give on this call. So you drop me a message on LinkedIn. I will prioritize all of your messages. Everyone who's had their answer, I promise, just drop me a message. I'll prioritize it before close of day tomorrow. I'll respond to you guys. Okay. That being said, we've just got a minute to go. I'm really grateful to everybody for registering to the event, for the event, sending in your questions. In fact, you guys are wonderful and attending and actually really attending. Idris and Richie, Tosi is gone, and Tosi, thank you guys so much for your time. These guys don't get paid for this. I don't even know how they will say they want to do it. I don't know. Like, it's Saturday, you should be out there shopping, doing whatever. I don't know how you guys do this, but I'm so happy for you guys, supporting everyone who needs a bit of guidance and all of that. So thank you so much, Richie and Idris, for your time. Very much appreciated. I mean, I can't even pay you people's charge out rates per hour. I don't know.
My own is in pounds now. You know how
Your own
much
is even in pounds. How do we even pay it? So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being part of this session. I really do appreciate your time. So thank you all very much. See you around and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ore. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Idris. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Okpeoluwa. Thank you.
Thank you, Ore. Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Idris. Super grateful.
Thank you.
Interesting.